Now at 10 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, a hit and run in Victoria leads to an ongoing investigation. Plus, the unseen work protecting the water supply, how the city of Port Lavaca ensures safety every day. And the West Texas measles outbreak officially ends, but health officials say the threat remains.
With a little luck for the next couple of days, we may see an increased chance of showers. It's the only way we're going to keep the temperature out of the hundreds. We'll talk about that and take a look at tropics in a moment.
And Victoria Gators look to make some noise this upcoming season. We'll give you their full CFL preview later on in sports.
You're watching 25 News now at 10. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Shauna Curry. Don Brubaker is on assignment. Victoria police are looking into a hit and run. The driver smashed into a fence near Palmetto and Mimosa Streets on Saturday night, scattering debris, then took off. Investigators say they have located the vehicle involved, but no arrests have been made so far. They say the investigation is still ongoing. With boil water notices in Victoria bringing water quality into the spotlight, Port Lavaca Public Works Director Wayne Schaefer talks about how he maintains the city's water quality, checking chlorine levels throughout the city every day. Port Lavaca uses a third party to treat the water. After treatment, Schaefer makes sure it meets safety standards and is not being wasted. There are 33 sites around Port Lavaca that he tests daily to keep the water supply safe for everyone.
As a licensed operator in the state of Texas, it's of utmost importance to me. People depend on us to provide them with drinking water. So when you have to boil it, it's an inconvenience, and there's a level of safety that the residents and the end consumer don't feel.
Schaefer says he is able to keep the chlorine level steady by monitoring the residuals pressure and tries to keep it over 0.5 milliliters. Schaefer says he keeps a closer eye on residual numbers during hotter temperatures. TxDOT is hosting 2 public hearings this week on the upcoming I-69 and US 77 projects. The first meeting is Wednesday at the Refugio County Expo Center. The second is Thursday at the Woodsboro School Cafeteria. Both begin at 4:30 p.m. There will also be a virtual option on the TxDOT website that will remain online for at least 15 days. Lavaca County is under a new burn ban. The county judge signed the order this afternoon after the drought index reached dangerous levels. The ban prohibits fires and outdoor burning unless in an approved enclosed barrel or container with a cover or spark arrestor. Aerial fireworks are also off limits. Violators could face a fine up to $500, 60 days in jail, or both. The ban is set to last 90 days, but officials say it could be lifted or extended based on conditions. And good news, we do have some better rain chances coming into the forecast this week. So let's go to Chief Meteorologist Mac Perez for a first look at the forecast. Mac.
Well, Shauna, you were talking about the burn ban. I thought I was going to catch fire by myself, just walking across the parking lot. Yeah, that was brutal. I mean, you're just soaking in perspiration. Well, tonight, Aaron is causing problems for the Bahama Islands, as you see right about there. It's not a direct hit, but it is a rough night. They're getting lots of wind and rain and high surf. Then it's going to be passing very close to the Carolinas. You can see it right about there. If that stays on track, they're in good shape, but any kind of movement here will put it too close to the Outer Banks. So we'll be talking about the tropics coming up in just a moment. Shauna, back to you.
The redistricting fight is heating up in Texas and California. In Austin, House Democrats returned after weeks away, ending a standoff over Republican-led maps. In California, the governor is now pushing new maps of his own in response. ABC's Melissa Adon has the latest.
Texas House Democrats seen leaving Chicago and heading back to the Texas State House this morning, reaching a quorum after weeks of failing to reach a quorum for a special session on the state's redistricting plan. Democratic legislators met with cheers from supporters as many of them returned after more than 50 Democratic lawmakers left the state to avoid voting on new congressional maps. The Republican-drawn maps pushed by President Trump to favor Republicans in the upcoming midterm elections. States redraw maps every 10 years after the census, Democrats blasting Trump for pushing for a new map early to preserve GOP control of the House.
We are going to build a record that helps the legal fight go forward. We will try to persuade our colleagues to do the right thing, but quite frankly, I'm disappointed in the level of moral courage I see from a lot of my colleagues.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott calling a second special session after threatening to arrest any Democratic lawmaker who had left. Republicans blasting Democrats for not being present for the vote.
We need to be careful because blood will be on people's hands if they don't tone down this hateful rhetoric.
And in California, state legislators reconvened in the state capitol days after Governor Newsom formally announced plans to get new congressional maps to go before voters in November. California Democrats say the proposed maps could help Democrats flip 5 Republican seats.
Donald Trump lit this fire when he pressured Texas to change the rules mid-game. California is answering that attack, not by breaking democracy, but by protecting it.
The move met with opposition by California Republicans.
Governor Newsom, this is nothing more than a power grab.
ABC News sources say Indiana Republicans have now been invited to the White House next week to discuss possible redistricting plans for the state that would favor Republicans. Melissa Adon, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Now that the House is in a second special session, brings us to our viewer poll. Are you concerned about the impact of political redistricting battles? Yes, very concerned, somewhat concerned, neutral, or not very concerned, or not concerned at all. About the same numbers as we saw at 6 o'clock, leaning on towards the concerned side, but still in neutral category. So thank you to everyone who voted. If you have not, we want to hear from you. Visit crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part. A Los Angeles woman known as the Ketamine Queen has agreed to plead guilty to charges she sold that drug that killed actor Matthew Perry. Federal prosecutors announced today they had worked out a plea deal with Jasveen Sangha. Investigators say she illegally sold the ketamine that killed the Friends star in October 2023. Sangha is the 5th person to plead guilty in the case. Her plea deal comes just weeks before she was set to go on trial. Sangha's lawyer says his client is taking responsibility for her actions, and she now faces up to 65 years in prison when she is sentenced. A new over-the-counter birth control pill is making contraception more accessible. It's called the O-pill, and a new study shows more than a quarter of users were not on any form of birth control before. The pill has been on store shelves since March 2024. No prescription, no age limits, and costs about $20 a month. It's 98% effective and contains only progestin, not estrogen like many prescription pills. Experts say its low cost and easy access help break down major barriers like lack of insurance and rural access. Mosquito season may mean more than itchy bites. In some parts of the world, it brings disease. With more, here's ABC's Olivia Rubin.
The CDC has issued a travel warning for parts of China due to a surge in cases of chikungunya, a virus spread by a certain breed called the Asian tiger mosquito that are mostly found in very warm tropical and subtropical climates. Cases are often linked to flooding, which creates ideal breeding grounds for these pesky insects. But they can breed even in small amounts of stagnant water, including containers, gutters, and puddles. Chikungunya causes high fever, severe joint pain, fatigue, and rashes. Most people can recover in a week, but symptoms can linger for months. While the virus is rare in the U.S., travelers to area with outbreaks should consider getting vaccinated. The CDC says immunity begins about 2 weeks after a single dose. To reduce your risk when you're in a high-impact area, wear long clothing. Use DEET-based repellent, sleep under netting, and eliminate standing water near your lodging. With this Medical Minute, I'm Olivia Rubin.
The measles outbreak in West Texas is officially over. State health officials say it has been more than 42 days since a new case was reported in any county with previous transmission. Since late January, there have been 762 cases, most of those in children, with 99 hospitalizations and 2 deaths in school-aged children. Officials credit testing, vaccination, and public education for helping end the outbreak. While the dashboard will no longer be updated, health leaders warn the threat is not gone, with outbreaks continuing in other parts of North America and around the world. Parents in Texas are increasingly seeking vaccine exemption forms for their children, with the number of requests doubling since 2018. To read this full Texas Tribune article, come to crossroadstoday.com. Don Brubaker and his group are exploring the Great Northwest this week, seeing miles of natural beauty over the weekend. So let's check in to see today's adventure.
Howdy, folks. We are in the state capital city of Montana. This is Helena, and boy, we're having a great time. Let's tell you about and show you about what we did today. First off, we went to the Cathedral of St. Helena. It took 16 years to build. It was finished in 1924. The stained glass windows came from Munich, Germany. The cathedral was added to the National Register of Historic Places in 1980. And then we went to the state capitol building of Helena. We marveled at the Gothic-style cathedral, stunning towers and stained glass windows, which rival those in Europe. And part of our tour group, the Dudersings from Palacios. Royce, tell me about the most important thing that you have seen on this tour so far.
Well, the Cathedral Church this morning was very beautiful with stained glass, a lot of history to it. And another thing was Glacier National Park, really enjoyed that. And the smoke jumpers and buffalo jump area, very, very beautiful.
All right.
A lot of things to see here in Montana.
Thank you, Royce. And we are winding up our tour of Montana with Helena. Next stop, Yellowstone. I'm Don Brubaker, KAVU TV 25 News Now.
Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. Stay with us. Coming up on 25 News Now at 10, tensions are rising in the nation's capital. How the growing presence of National Guard troops is sparking pushback from city leaders and residents. Plus, deadly Russian attacks came just hours before critical talks in Washington on security guarantees. More GOP-led states are backing President Trump's show of force in Washington, D.C. Today, the governors of Mississippi and Louisiana announced plans to send National Guard troops to the Capitol. But while Trump touts the crackdown, D.C.'s Democratic mayor is growing increasingly frustrated with the surge of federal agents and Guard troops. Brian Todd has more.
This is not about D.C. crime.
D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser growing more frustrated over the escalation of federal agents and National Guard troops on the streets of the nation's capital.
You know what doesn't make sense? The numbers on the ground in the district don't support 1,000 people from other states coming to Washington, D.C.
Republican governors from West Virginia, South Carolina, Ohio, and Mississippi have announced they are sending additional National Guard troops to Washington in response to President Trump's call to increase law enforcement on the streets.
We went from the most unsafe place anywhere to a place that now people, friends are calling me up, Democrats are calling me up, and they're saying, sir, I want to thank you. And you did that in 4 days.
But Mayor Bowser does not seem to share that sentiment.
Why the military would be deployed in an American city to police Americans. That's the question.
Around the Capitol today, D.C. National Guard troops could be spotted near national monuments and major transportation hubs.
Have they told you anything about your mission, like what you're supposed to be doing around Union Station at least?
Just helping out with local law enforcement.
Are you carrying any firearms?
No.
A Defense Department official tells CNN that so far, guardsmen on the street in D.C. are not armed and have not been requested to carry firearms. The official says they'll be prepared to arm if they get the order. When asked if they will deploy to high-crime areas of the city, the official said, quote, "That's not the request." Not everybody agrees that National Guardsmen should be sent in from other states. One Republican governor, Phil Scott of Vermont, turned down a second request from President Trump to deploy its National Guard troops to D.C. to help Trump in his mission. The governor's office saying in part, while public safety is a legitimate concern in cities across the country, in the absence of an immediate disaster and unless local and regional first responders are unable to handle such an emergency, the governor is opposed to utilizing the National Guard for this purpose. Some D.C. residents have been very vocal, protesting and speaking out against the militarization of their streets.
They're not doing this to anybody else in this country. They're picking on D.C. We are and would be the largest black voting plurality, 46% black and brown residents in D.C. They're not doing this to any white-led spaces.
Every additional step they make makes the people of D.C. more dangerous, and that is why the people of D.C. do not want this. Nobody asked for it. We want them out. This is our home, and we do not want them here.
President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin spoke on the phone today. The two presidents were not able to reach an agreement during their recent summit in Alaska last week, but spoke on the phone for over 40 minutes today. During the call, Putin thanked Trump for his hospitality during their meeting and spoke about the progress the two had made regarding Ukraine. Trump updated Putin on his meeting with Zelensky, which had taken place earlier in the day. The two agreed to continue contacts on Ukraine and are both in favor of direct talks between Russia and Ukraine. But just hours before high-stakes talks in Washington today, Russia launched a deadly wave of drone and missile strikes across Ukraine. At least 10 people killed, including a young child, and dozens more hurt. In one city, 5 drones hit an apartment building, wiping out an entire family, including their 1-year-old daughter. All of this as President Trump and European leaders discuss NATO-style security guarantees for Ukraine. Russia calls that unacceptable. Tonight, the attacks show no sign of stopping. Bermuda is bracing for its first big storm of the season, with residents urged to prepare now. Hurricane Erin is not a direct threat, but will bring powerful winds and dangerous surf. The storm could push surge levels up to 24 feet by Thursday, making waters too risky for swimming, boating, or surfing. Erin is a Category 4 hurricane with winds up to 140 miles an hour, already lashing parts of the Bahamas and the Turks and Caicos. Forecasters say it should turn away from the U.S., but it could still bring rough surf and gusty winds along the East Coast.
Well, good evening, everybody. We are going to take a close look at Erin coming up in a moment. Right now, we're at 83 degrees, and boy, was it hot today. We got up to 101. Our average temperature is at 96. Not a lot of hope in the temperature department, but a cloud and a little rain shower, that'd be nice. We'll talk about that in a moment. Well, outside of the blazing heat and humidity that we had today, we're hoping that for the next couple of days we're going to see quite a few bands of stormy weather coming in from the northeast. You see it right about there? So we had rain today in the Houston area, Beaumont, Galveston as well. That stuff is drifting down toward us. What's happening on the big picture is that high pressure is moving to the west coast again. That's allowing lower pressure on the east coast, basically caused by the backwash of Erin. I'll explain that in a moment. But we see a northeast wind bringing that shower activity into the state, and we're just hoping that we get something over the next couple of days. It's the only way we're going to get any kind of temperature that's not in the upper 90s. Now, as I mentioned, Erin is, of course, the big story. Tonight, we have had several thunder showers that rolled right down 59. You see one right there. And it gets to Edna and it stops. Okay, right about now. Here's another one coming out of Houston right about there. It gets it and it stops. So we're not getting it today. With a little luck, in the next couple of days, we'll see some of that get closer to us. Now let's talk about Erin. Well, it is a big storm. You can see right now the winds are at 125 sustained with gusts to 155. So obviously the Turks and Caicos right here are getting buffeted by the strong wind and the high surf. So it is a rough night for them, but it's not a direct hit. Now, if the storm continues on the path that we expect it to go, it's going to go right up the eastern seaboard. And, you know, I call it split the goalpost, because here's the East Coast, there's Bermuda right down the middle. However, this is the cone of uncertainty, so it could be anywhere inside this. And if it moves 100 miles this way, well, then we're going to have a bigger problem. But for the Outer Banks of North Carolina, Delmarva, Chesapeake Bay, and probably all the way to Long Island Sound, they're going to have to watch this very carefully, because this is a Thursday right about here, Thursday night. Here's Wednesday, so it's going to be rolling very close. Now, they're going to get some rough activity there, but probably not a direct hit, which is a little bit better than nothing. All right, now here's 10, here's 60, and the 60 is this one. This is likely to be, I'm telling you now, Ferdinand. This will be the next storm. It'll be the F. And notice how it should develop here and then blossom here once it's out of the dust, and then follow very much the same path as Erin. But Erin went north of the islands. This one may be a little bit close, and this is like within a week after the first storm. So it's getting busy out there, and we'll certainly have to watch it. Now here's the cluster of storms over Houston tonight. We go forward into Tuesday, you can see some of that moves southwest rather, over our area. That's for Tuesday. And what happens again Wednesday? Well, it settles down overnight, but then all of a sudden that drops down into our region as well. So that's why I'm thinking that, you know, a little shower here, a little shower there will be very nice. One way to cool down. Otherwise, it is blazing out there with scattered showers expected. And here is the best chance will be on Thursday with a weak frontal system. And then we continue with hopefully every day, every afternoon, a little shower or two just to help us out. That's your 7-day forecast. Reminding everybody we do have a QR code. Love for you to scan that. Put Crossroads Today on your phone. And we'll toss it over to Maxwell with sports.
Yeah, Mac, earlier today, Victoria East hosted their Unleash the Beast pep rally event out there at East High School. We'll highlight how this event went coming up. We are officially 11 days away from kicking off the Texas high school football season. We're almost done covering our CFL preview coverage. Today, we're looking at the Victoria Gators, where last year they went 3-7 and 1-3 in district play, and they got big productions last year from running back Bladen Tompkins, who graduated there for the Gators, but also they got two top receiving threats coming back this year in Eli and Caden Grafmeyer, who are going to be huge to help out those Gators offense season on the receiving end. But also keep an eye on a running back, also wide receiver type and tapper scrap wrestler in Devin Aguilar, who he heads into this year, his senior year, a lot of expectations. And for the Gators, they open up the season at home on August 28th. So a day before actually all the action really starts for most of these teams on the 29th. There'll be a Thursday night game versus Texas Christian at home at 6 p.m. Now, Victoria East High School earlier today, they kicked off their athletic calendar with a bang going into this year. The school recently hosted their Unleash the Beast pep rally, where the East football team cheerleading squad took center stage for the event and showcased nearly all of Victoria East sports teams, from the cheerleading to the powerlifting teams, bringing the entire athletic community together. An event organizer Jonathan Sixto shares with us here in 25 News Now what this year's Unleash the Beast rally is so special and why these gatherings like these are important for the school spirit.
And this one's unique in that it's open to parents and the community, and we invite all community members to come to the school, meet our athletes, our performing artists, and just kick off the year right. This is one of the first times they get to see all of their friends back from the first week of school, and the parents also get to see their kids in their jerseys and come out and be celebrated in front of the whole town. So it's good to see everyone come together and support the kids.
Love that. You want to try to get all the support you can for all the athletic teams going in, because they kick off this season for the football team, at least there, against Georgetown at the Memorial Stadium. That week one matchup's on August 29th. And for the volleyball team, they're right back Victoria East there tomorrow, hosting Edna at East, and it'll be at 6 p.m. Now, another big thing that happened from last week between Refugio and Goliad, where both teams, along with the Goliad Athletic Booster Club, were proud to send a check in the amount of $904 to the Community Foundation of the Texas Hill Country and the Kerrville Country Flood Relief to help out that much-needed flood assistance from all the floods that happened earlier out in Kerrville. It's a huge difference for the city out there. And also, later on in the year, we're going to highlight there from some of the coaches talking about this event and what this means, especially because a lot of other teams are not doing this as well, trying to donate relief going into all the flood victims. Now over to cross country, where the Cuero Gobblers high school JV team and then the junior high team plays very high at the Yoakum Invitational this past weekend. The JV boys team became champions with 22 points, led by Ishmael Botello. Then the JV girls had 4 medalists finish out there in second place with 33 points, led under Cameron Villa. And then junior high girls team, they finished in 9th place with 34 points. They were led under Carmen Uriski. And then finally the junior high boys team got 3rd place with 93 points. And then they finished out in 3rd place. And the top placer for them was Leroy Maldonado. Over to the Houston Astros. They faced game 1 versus the Troy Tigers, and this game did not go the way for the Tigers. I mean, for the Astros part. The Tigers went well for them. They won there 10-0, as again, Wenzel Perez there for the Tigers went 2 for 3, had 1 RBI, and then Trey Sweeney 3 RBIs to help Detroit get the win. See if the Astros can get back on the momentum there, get that on the win column as they be back in Detroit at 5:40 p.m. The Texas Rangers, they traveled up to Kansas City to face there the Royals, and the Royals would barely win this one out there 4-3. Again, for the Royals, they got Mike Yastrzemski had a solo shot, and then Vince Pasquantino, a player that I always liked to watch when I was up there in Kansas City, he's got a 2-run shot against the Rangers, and the Rangers, just like the Astros, they're going to hope to see if they can get back up at 6:40 p.m. there tomorrow night. And that's going to do it here in sports. Shauna, back to you.
Well, stay with us. Coming up on 25 News Now at 10, a rare car is turning heads. How a Ferrari that just debuted could set a record when it goes up for auction. So it appears that bears do some of the same things that we do to beat the summer heat, like lounging by the pool with popsicles. These are brown bears at a zoo in the UK. The 4 bears, Cinderella, Mana, Minnie, and Naya, were treated to specialty flavored ice blocks prepared by their keepers. They dug into the tasty snacks while frolicking in and out of the water in their habitat at UK's largest zoo.
Yeah, I saw one of them. It was a margarita flavor.
I mean, hey, can't complain.
That's what we do.
Well, a rare Ferrari just made its first public appearance, and it could break records at auction. Meckham Auctions unveiled a 1962 Ferrari 250 GTO during Monterey Car Week. Only 36 were ever built, and this is the only one in Bianco Speciale white. So that color white. Originally owned by British racing team owner John Coombs, the car is considered the ultimate prize for collectors. It is expected to fetch tens of millions of dollars when it goes to auction in Florida in January.
Yeah, Mecum auctions are really cool. I've been to a couple, and like I said, it's always cool to see the different type of cars they have out there for sale.
And that's a head turner.
Yeah,
you have that driving down the street.
Millions? For millions? Wow.
Yeah.
If Elvis were in it, then it'd be worth the millions.
Well.
Well, folks, we've got hopefully a little bit better chance for the next few days of getting some of that afternoon shower activity. I'm saying hopefully because it's the only way we're going to knock the temperatures out of the upper 90s. With a little luck, it looks like Thursday, the tail end of a frontal system may actually give us a 50% chance for showers. So we will be watching it for you right here.
All right, well, tomorrow is National Potato Day, a day when the starchy side dish gets to take center stage, whether it's baked, fried, mashed. Potatoes are a staple for many meals. There are 4,000 varieties of them. Had no idea.
No idea.
And they're grown in a variety of colors and sizes. Great health benefits, too. They're loaded with vitamin C and potassium, no fat or cholesterol, unless you load it up and pile it with the bacon and the cheese.
Oh,
and,
that's how that happens.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us. Have a great night.